capital. Now, cost of capital is calculated under the financing decision of the firm. The firm to effectively raise the funds to minimize the cost of raising funds takes the cost of capital analysis. Now, under this, I talk about the importance of this decision, then for evaluating the capital budgeting proposals, the cost of capital is required because that is the discount rate at which you are discounting the future cash flows. Also, by cost of capital, I mean the cost of raising funds and the minimum return that the firm must earn on its investment. So, evaluating the cost, measuring the cost can be done in various ways. We had started with calculation of specific cost of capital. So what are we doing here? We are picking individual sources of finance and then we are seeing how to calculate their specific cost, individual cost. Under that, yesterday we did the cost of debentures, cost of debt, and we saw that the most interesting thing about debt is that it is the interest payable on debt is tax deductible. So, whenever we are calculating the cost of debt, we consider this point and we calculate the after tax cost of debt. So there we had the case of redeemable debt and irredeemable debt, and accordingly we had calculated the cost. Now we come to the second source of finance before the firm, which is preference shares. So now in accounts I had already given you an introduction to what preference shares are, but we'll discuss it again here. Quick revision. Preference shares are shares which offer fixed dividend to their holders. So dividend is fixed, but there are no voting rights. So this becomes the first point of difference between preference shares and equity shares. Equity shares, they do not carry any fixed dividend, but they carry voting rights, and that is the reason equity shareholders are said to be the real owners of the company. Preference shares, they come with a preferential right. What is the preferential right? That at the time of distribution of dividends, as well as at the time of liquidation of the company, closing down of the company, dissolution of the company, it is the preference shareholders who are given more priority, who are given priority over the equity shareholders. Now, there are cases, there are scenarios in which sometimes the preference shareholders are also given voting rights. But that can be limited to, say, a decision on dissolution, or there is some project which has already been undertaken and there is some additional advice required on changing some particulars about that project. So the company management may decide that okay, we should involve the preference shareholders also. Coming to the type of preference shares, like debentures, again here also you have redeemable and irredeemable preference shares. Now, redeemable have a fixed time period after which they will be redeemed back. Irredeemable, on the other hand, are not redeemed, not returned during the lifetime of the firm. Apart from this, you have cumulative preference shares. Cumulative, cumulation का मतलब होता है add करना. तो अगर किसी ईयर में फर्म को अच्छा प्रॉफिट नहीं हुआ, उस ईयर का डिविडेंड जो है प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स का वो ऐड हो जाएगा और फॉलोइंग ईयर में उसको पे कर दिया जाएगा. Apart from this, you also have participating and non-participating preference shares. Participating होता है कि कंपनी अच्छे प्रॉफिट्स अर्न कर रही है, प्रेफरेंस डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो गया, उसके बाद सच प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स दे हैव अ राइट टू पार्टिसिपेट इन सरप्लस प्रॉफिट during liquidation once the company has paid all the dues to the other shareholders. तो अगेन पार्टिसिपेटिंग प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स रेयर होते हैं, पर उस केस में पार्टिसिपेशन की राइट मिलती है ना सिर्फ एट द टाइम ऑफ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा अर्निंग्स बट ऑल्सो एट द टाइम ऑफ लिक्विडेशन ऑफ द फर्म. So this is what you need to know about preference shares. We now, okay, one more thing. Since we are talking about preference shares, we are talking about dividend. There is a term with respect to dividend. Can anyone tell me the full form of DDT? Never heard, because we talk about tax benefit in debt. So I want to explain what dividend tax implications are. Can anyone tell me dividend पर company tax pay करती है या नहीं?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम वो डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टैक्स होती है क्या?
हाँ, absolutely right. This is a dividend distribution tax.
Yes, ma'am. And the company pays tax on the dividends.
Okay, so anyone else? Any knowledge about DDT? So just for your information, with assessment year 21-22, so the current assessment year, now the company's domestic company is not required to pay dividend distribution tax. It was in place earlier. The companies had to pay dividend tax on the dividend declared and distributed, but now dividend distribution tax is not to be paid by the company. Now it is taxable in the hands of the shareholders. So shareholders are paying tax on the dividend received by them. उनकी taxable income बढ़ जाती है. But DDT as a concept, now companies are not paying any dividend distribution tax. Okay. Coming to
Ma'am,
the हाँ जी बेटा
it's
अमन.
because of this reason that the dividends we paid is like the after tax money or the profit, net profit that the company has. So the company already has paid their fair share of taxes.
Yeah, so it is a kind of relief that our finance minister gave to the companies, and in this assessment year, you know that the main motive was to revive the economy.
Yes, ma'am.
जब बजट आया तो उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव ही यही था कि अब इकोनॉमी को रिवाइवल के पाथ पे लेके जाना है. तो उस डायरेक्शन में दिस वाज अ वेरी पॉजिटिव स्टेप एंड वेरी वेल रिसीव्ड बाय द कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
ओके.
Ma'am,
हाँ जी.
also
हाँ.
this has essentially shifted the burden of the tax on dividends from the companies to the shareholders.
Please repeat your question once again. So
Ma'am,
this
the
means,
this amendment has transferred the burden of tax on
yeah,
dividends from
from
the
the company to
company to
the
the shareholders.
हाँ,
Okay.
shareholders were paying, they have to pay tax on dividend income. पहले कंपनी पे कर रही थी, कैपिटल गेन पे शेयर होल्डर टैक्स पे कर रहा था. अब डिविडेंड रिसीव्ड भी उसकी टैक्सेबल इनकम में इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेज करके हेड होता है,
Yes, ma'am.
उसमें ऐड हो जाती है.
Okay.
तो
Okay.
इनकम एक तो होता है जो आपकी जॉब से
Yes,
प्रोफेशन
ma'am. Yes,
होता है, फिर बिजनेस होता है, तो एक हेड होता है फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेज, उधर ऐड हो जाता है.
ma'am. Okay.
ओके. Okay, class. So let's move to the calculation of cost of preference shares. So again, we have two cases. One is where we have irredeemable preference shares. So, preference
मैम
shares.
आई वाज बिट लेट, तो आप थोड़ा इसको समझा दोगे एक बारी
क्या चीज
दिस
बता?
टर्म? मैं दिस टर्म मैम शेयर्स।
Irredeemable means that they will not be redeemed, they will not be returned back during the lifetime of the company. तो कोई मेच्योरिटी डेट नहीं है. रिडीमेबल प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स क्या होंगे? 5 इयर्स के लिए आपने इशू करे हैं प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स, तो इशू के टाइम ही पता है कि 5 इयर्स के बाद ये रिटर्न बैक करने हैं, इनको रिडीम करना है. Irredeemable do not carry a time tag to them. Okay, so coming to the cost of preference shares, this will be dividend preference dividend upon the net proceeds into 100. So no point of calculation of after tax cost, क्योंकि यहाँ पर कोई टैक्स नहीं है कंपनी के लिए. So preference dividend divided by net proceeds into 100. कमिंग टू रिडीमेबल प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स, तो जिसपे ड्यूरेशन डिफाइंड होती है कि इतने टाइम के बाद ये प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स रिडीम कर दिए जाएंगे. उस केस में जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था, वी कैन ईदर यूज द लॉन्ग मेथड which is not used frequently, where you discount the expected cash flows. We prefer using the shortcut. So short method says that the cost of preference shares, same formula hai, just pay attention, preference dividend the only difference is instead of interest now you have preference dividend. The formula is the same, preference dividend plus RV redemption value, NP net proceeds, N is the number of years, and in the denominator you are taking the average of RV plus NP. Okay, so let's start solving questions on calculation of cost of preference. So in the first question, if the formula is clear, I'll display this on the whole page, otherwise the font is very small. A company issues 10% irredeemable preference shares of the face value rupees 100 each. Flotation cost is estimated to be 4% of the issue price. What would be the cost of preference shares if they are issued at par, 10% premium and 10% discount? So start attempting the question. I am writing the formula here. Start attempting, post your answers in the chat box, then we'll discuss the answers. Just pay attention to one point, that the flotation cost is a percentage of issue price. So when you are solving for the second and third point, accordingly reduce the flotation cost. For the first part, the answer is correct, 10.4%, 10.41%. Calculate for second and third part. Okay, so for the second part, the answer is 9.46%, and third part, the answer is 11.57%. So you can see that the cost to the company increases when the preference share is being issued at discount. Any doubt in any of the parts you can ask. Aman, आप calculation check करो. 11.62 नहीं है, 11.57 is the correct answer. You are taking the flotation cost as a percentage of the issue price. Dividend is always on the face value. तो 3.6 माइनस हो जाएगा ना इसमें. 86.4. So you are getting 11.57 here as the answer. Okay, we move to a question on calculation of cost for redeemable preference shares. So here you are given the redemption of the preference share is to be done in 12 years. You can start solving. I am writing the formula. Yes, so the answer is 10.13%. Okay, so this is how you calculate the cost of preference shares. Now we are doing the individual cost, and then we will start doing long questions where we will be calculating the overall cost of capital. So before that, we will be doing the cost of equity now. I'll first explain you and then we move to the calculation part. Now, class, out of all the sources of finance, calculating the cost of equity becomes the most difficult for the firm because for debt, for preference shares, you explicitly know what is the return given to them. But in case of equity, what happens is that there is no fixed dividend that needs to be distributed by the firm. So calculating the cost accordingly is a bit complex. Now, with this feature that there is no foundation on the firm to distribute the dividend, can firms start foregoing dividend? अगर फाउंडेशन नहीं है तो क्या हर फर्म ये सोच सकती है कि कोई डिविडेंड हमने डिस्ट्रीब्यूट नहीं करना? Can firms go with the policy of non-declaration of dividends for long?
Yes, ma'am, they can.
Yes, they can. Okay. Yes, anyone else?
Ma'am, example is Apple, Google, Microsoft. They have never paid dividend.
Okay. So that is one example. Yes. What do the others think? Can firms forego dividend for long? So, Aman, since you have answered, why do you think Apple investors or shareholders are bearing with this thing that there is no dividend being paid till date?
Ma'am, it's because the capital gain is much more than the dividends.
Yes, absolutely right. Because the capital gain from the share is much more than what they would have got in the return form in dividends, they are bearing with this policy of the company. But this is an exception. Every shareholder, when purchasing the shares, expects that in some point of time dividends will be distributed. And for the years where the company is not distributing dividends, the company will give a very high growth rate in the earnings so that their wealth is maximized. So, both the ways, if you see whether dividend is being distributed or it is not being distributed, it is ultimately the company that has to prove its performance to the shareholders. Equity shareholders are assuming maximum risk as compared to the other parties to the company. डेट होल्डर्स को फिक्स डिविडेंड मिल गया, इक्विटी और प्रेफरेंस से पहले मिला. प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को भी फिक्स डिविडेंड मिलेगा और इक्विटी से पहले मिलेगा. सेम ऑर्डर, same chronology is being followed when the company is being dissolved or is winding up. So it is the equity shareholders who are left at the end with the remaining earnings, or if any, and again with the remaining assets at the time of liquidation. So they have no fixed stake in the company. They are assuming the maximum risk and hence they are expecting the maximum return. So this thing cannot be ignored by the firm. The firm needs to consider this point and hence the cost of equity for the firm is basically the income which is expected by the shareholder in the form of dividends or capital gains. अगर डिविडेंड नहीं दे रहे तो उस पैसे को, उस अर्निंग को री इन्वेस्ट करो और उस पर इतना रिटर्न अर्न करो कि जो शेयर की वैल्यू है वो ज्यादा हो जाए मार्केट में. So because of this reason we follow different approaches to calculate the cost of equity. Cost of equity can be calculated through multiple approaches. We will start, as I have told you, with the dividend approach, since we are talking about dividends. Apart from this, we also have the earnings approach, we have the CAPM model. वो सब हम एक एक करके देखेंगे. तो सबसे पहले स्टार्ट करते हैं डिविडेंड प्राइस अप्रोच. And under this, when simple dividends are given, we take the cost of new equity. So this will be the cost of new equity. We will also be calculating the cost of existing equity. So I am taking this as D1. D1 is the dividend expected at the end of year 1 upon net proceeds into 100. So again here net proceeds are net of flotation cost. D1 is the dividend that the shareholder is expecting at the end of year 1. For cost of existing equity, if there are shares already issued in the market and we need to calculate what is the cost of equity for them, then again this is D1. And now NP here does not stand for net proceeds. I'm taking P0, which will be the current market value of the share. Current market value of the share. This is when we are calculating the cost of existing equity. So let's take up a question. The question
What is P0 here?
is P0 is the current market price of the equity share, because this is existing equity, existing shares का cost आप calculate कर रहे हो. So this is the current market price per equity share.
Okay.
Okay, so आपके पास जो example है, that is case of fresh equity. So you apply this formula and calculate the cost of equity. Okay, so the answer is 14.5%. So the cost of equity as per the dividend price approach is 14.5%. In further cases, we will take up models where you have